Hey there traders, welcome to this week's Forex forecast and trade setups video. Here I'll be showing you how I'm viewing the market, what specific pairs that currently have my interest, and if you stick around to the end, I'll even show you one setup that has the potential to even double your account. Let's get into it. Welcome to Price Action Nation, where we help you go from indicator overload and analysis paralysis to finally trading with clarity and confidence. Here we focus on helping traders become independently profitable by focusing on pure price action. So if you're new, please support the channel and consider subscribing. Let's get started off by looking at the euro dollar. We got a daily chart we're looking at here. And we had a very interesting end to the week on Friday, and I want to pay special attention to how the price action finished going into the close of the week. You take a look at this daily candle right here, and what you're going to see is price coming down, just like it had done all week, coming down just like this. And as it came down to these lows and created new lows, we had a surge of buying coming in. Okay, and that's indicative with that massive tell on that candle. Now what I want to do is just let's go back for a minute and take a look at where we had similar price action at some other major turning points on the euro dollar. One that comes to mind is right there. You can see price coming up, making these new highs, and then massive selling stepping in, which led to some serious follow through to the downside. You've got also something quite similar here, and you've got something similar there as well. Okay. Big shadows and tells, followed up with residual follow through in that direction. We've already started to see, as the market has opened up today into the week, the immediate follow through to the upside. Okay, now that's not anything that should surprise anyone, as we had all that momentum, buying momentum going into the close of the week. There's a really good likelihood we're going to see some residual follow through there. Now we're going to dive down to a 1 hour chart, and I want you guys to see how price was just trickling down very gradually, but it was doing so with some very nice structure at play, this nice trend line that I kept respecting. And then last week we had a very strong breakout right here. We had a pullback, interestingly enough, retesting that very trend line it broke, bouncing from that point again, and then coming back down, and it started to form this consolidation. You can see this consolidation pattern that it started to form. And then of course, going into the end of the week last week, we had another strong surge, breaching those lows, and then an immediate reversal. Okay, very strong impulsive move up, breaking out of this structure, out of this consolidation, and continuing higher from there. At this point, I'm actually bullish on the euro to the short to medium term. There's a lot of upside. I wouldn't necessarily be very hip on pulling the trigger right now to go long, but I'd be looking for any pullbacks that price might give me, something like this even, before the next, looking for that next run up. Dollar yen 4 hour chart. Last week I posted to our members this outlook that I had on the dollar yen prior to it coming up into this area. You can see that I've got marked off where I was really on the lookout for this to be heading short. I in fact got in my own account short on the dollar yen. I've got my trade move to break even. I'm currently holding this. As I see it, we'll at least have this move back down to the bottom of the structure, and we could very well see a breakdown of that. I don't think it's unrealistic where we had this really strong wave down here, where we're going to see a corresponding wave to the downside there as well. So of course, as price came up, we came right up into this kill zone right here. We had a major reaction from that level just north of the 111 handle, and very aggressive move to the downside. Currently just consolidating. Let's go down to a 1 hour chart. If we go down to a 1 hour chart, you can just see how correctively price is moving at this point. Something like this. We had this move up, move down. We might have another move up, move down. From there we could see the break, or we might see another wave up before we see the breakdown. But I am expecting, at least according to how this is moving right now, for further downside. Dollar CAD 1 hour chart. If you've been following for any period of time, you'll know that in the big picture I'm actually quite bearish on the dollar CAD. That doesn't mean we can't exploit any other opportunities that may present themselves for us. And right now, I do see one of those setting up right now on the dollar CAD. After this strong impulsive wave up, we have now been in this known corrective structure right here, and we may or may not see price come down to this. What I like about this area is that it actually is perfectly lines up with the 50% Fibonacci, but it's also the 3200 major price change level as well. So you've got both of those together, really nice confluence. I'll be looking for price to come down, tag these lows right here, and anywhere in this area, actually right there, anywhere in that area, I'll be looking to go long, which offers really great risk versus reward, where for just that little bit of risk, even if price at the very least, if all it does is come back up and retest these highs, as you can see here, you're looking at like a 1 to 4 risk versus reward. Let's go ahead and dive into gold. This is a 60-minute chart on gold. We're currently sitting up right here on the 1325 area, up at these highs. Right now, there's not any opportunity to buy, so we're just going to sit and wait on this one. But in planning ahead, if we see price pull back, if we see a correction, perhaps something like this, where price decides to fall back down, if and when price does come back down to this prior area of resistance, these prior lows in the market, that's where I'm going to be gearing up to go long, or at least considering to go long. The other thing that you're going to see as well, if we zoom out to a 4-hour chart, that we've got this really nice, very long term, going all the way back to last year in November, this trend line that price has complied to perfectly. So not only do we have these prior highs, resistance, that are more than likely going to behave as support, but we've also got this very long-term multi-month trend line price could come back to, turn into a great area of confluence, of support for us to, at that time, consider going long for that next wave up. Again, this is offering very great risk compared to the reward. Pound CAD 15-minute chart, we're really going to start getting down in the details here. I was holding on to a major short on the pound CAD. I did unfortunately get stopped out, and long term I am a bear long term on the pound CAD. But again, for the time being, if we see these opportunities, we'll go ahead and take them in the meantime while we're waiting for these longer term setups to transpire. Last week I posted to my members a pound CAD trade setup. I actually got in on it, stopped out at break even because it ended up pulling back deeper, but I am seeing another opportunity presenting itself right now. What we're looking for is, can you see this wave that we had here to the upside, and then just this very corrective, slowly gradual movement down to the downside, a breakout of this trend line right here, as you can see, and then now we're just more consolidation for the time being. So I do believe that we could see this next wave come up. Now it's showing signs that it's going to be happening, that it may be happening right now. That doesn't mean that it can't pull back deeper. However, even if it does pull back deeper, that's not going to change the overall outlook of this next wave coming on the horizon. So as you can see here, assuming an entry somewhere in this area on a bit of a pullback here while this market's correcting, stop down here, target up here, just simply targeting these prior highs, although I do think there's a lot of potential for this to break these highs. But even if it doesn't, that's almost a 3.5 to 1 reward versus risk. Kiwi CAD 4-hour chart. This is another setup weeks and weeks and weeks ago. I posted to my members a long term. In fact, before price was before it ever approached these highs up here, we were on the lookout, getting ready for the next wave down to happen. That did happen. However, it's turned into, and it's evolved into, this pretty choppy price action that we've been seeing as of late. We're going to be looking for this nice wave back to the downside here. So price, yes, it's been getting a bit messy, a bit choppy. We have pulled back up into this major area of what was support, holding now as resistance. We got this nice corrective formation here, and we're going to be looking to jump back on the train and riding that bad boy south. Kiwi Franc, this is a daily chart. We're now approaching these major highs up here, up to the top of this structure. Price could break up to the upside, but If you're not already in long on this thing, it is not the time to be looking to get in long. So I'm going to be on the lookout for shorts, just because that offers so much better reward for the risk that you'll be taking. And we could really see quite the wave back to the downside. As you can see, the lows have been getting lower, the highs have been getting lower all the way since back in May of 2017. So we've got some substantial history behind this. It's been progressively moving lower, so there's no reason why we couldn't be looking to get in short right now and to keep this on your watch list. Now there's a couple ways you can trade this, and it all comes down to personality type and what you like to do. One way, it's a much more aggressive way, and that is just to get in right now. Again, always make sure you've got your money management rules in place. You know ahead of time what that looks like before you get in the trade. The other thing that you can do, which is a little bit more conservative, is sort of just stand on the sidelines and wait for the bears to really enter the market with some force. Let them show their cards, step into the market, and allow them to start breaking ground to the downside. Alright, so let me show you what I mean. Here's an example just in the inverse, okay? As price was coming down, 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 and approaching the bottom, well, at that time you didn't know it was the bottom, right? You could start to wait or maybe anticipate. But what you could have done down here, so here we had buyer stepping in with some strength, then that was followed up with the correction, and then on this correction, this is where you're looking to get back in the market to ride it back to the upside. Okay, so simply waiting for something like this to catch that next wave up and let it ride. So as you can see, we certainly have not had any signs of sellers stepping into this market yet, so you may want to wait for that to happen. There's a lot of aggressive buying still taking place. There's been a lot of strength in the Kiwi, so that's what's driving this move, is all your Kiwi pairs across the board. Last week we had this astonishing strength come into the market, and of course that hasn't changed. So that's probably going to be the safer bet, would be to wait for sellers to step in this market with some force, with that move down, and get in on a correction. Euro Kiwi 4 hour. Now my outlook on this has not changed over the past couple weeks. I've been very bullish on this. In fact, I was in long on this trade last week on a really nice position. I was a bit disappointed last week because I was in on this trade from the bottom of this area, riding it all the way up, just as expected, just as anticipated. Okay, a couple hundred pips in profit, and what I was really holding out for and waiting for was this move back up, retesting these highs here. However, what happened instead was the massive strength in the Kiwi that we saw all across the board market wide last week. So I did unfortunately get stopped out at break even on this trade, and will be looking to re-enter on this to capture this wave to the upside. So it remains to be seen if price will take off from where it is right now, or if we will actually see these lows right here cleared, which I think is still very likely. So there's no need to rush on a trade like this. There's going to be plenty of opportunities to get in. The market's going to give it to you to get in. However, I would keep this on your watch list and be getting in on smaller time frames to look for buy setups. Even if this does push down low and tests or tags those prior lows right there, this area right here is an ideal area to be looking to build a long position on this trade. We could see price come down, clear these lows right here, and then take off like a rocket. So again, always manage your trades with care. Don't go all in, manage your risk, and don't be alarmed if you get in on this and you have to sustain a bit of a drawdown as this is coming down before it goes up. The upside will be well worth it, trust me. Alright traders, here's one to mix things up a bit. You're looking at the dollar to the Hong Kong dollar here, USD, HKD. Now this is an interesting pair because as it stands right now, there's a currency peg up here at $7.85, okay? You can see clearly price has come up each and every time and it's respected it. Now for those of you that have been trading for a while, think back to 2015 with the Swiss National Bank and the peg that they had with the euro to the franc at $1.20, okay? Something very similar here. So there's really great upside on a trade like this, very limited downside so long as that level holds. But if it doesn't, look out. we may see something similar to or comparable to the Swiss National Bank, depending on how well the central bank forecasts to the market this level holding or not. But if they come out and say, hey guys, forget about it, that peg's no longer something that we're going to respect, something that we're going to maintain, then you're going to probably see this take off very aggressively, breaking these levels and going much higher. But keep an eye on this. This will be a fun one to watch. Here's a stock index we're going to look at. This is the UK 100, also known as the FTSE, and we're looking at a 4-hour chart here with some beautiful compliance for the whole year so far, going back to the end of 2018, beginning of 2019. Beautiful compliance with this trend line. Price is currently up here at these highs, right up there, and what I'm going to be waiting for and watching out for is price to correct, to pull back down to this prior area of resistance, which will also so happen to be some really nice confluence of this trend line as well. So if price does decide that it's going to want to pull back from the levels it's at right now, this is where I'll be keeping an eye on to get ready for the next wave up. Copper daily chart. If you've been around from the beginning, you'll know copper was the very first video and also trade setup I posted on this channel. And so we're going to come back around to copper. It did exactly as I had expected it to from these lows. It came right up to the highs and tagged the highs. It looks like we may come up and test them at least one more time. However, what I'll be keeping an eye out for is once price gets up to these levels for this wave down here. We've got some fantastic risk versus reward at these levels. Price did come down very aggressively prior. Here you can see how swift and aggressive that impulse was to the downside. It's simply been correcting, going sideways for many months. And so as we get back up to the top of this area, in fact, you can see, I want you guys to pay attention here. Each time price approached this level, look at how aggressive the seller stepped back in. Price could not sustain that level very long. Can you guys see the size of these wicks on the dailies every time price approached this upper $2 level? Okay, even as of a few days ago, it came up and kissed those levels, and we had a strong amount of selling stepping back into the market here. So you can see that the sellers have been quite aggressive at these levels, at this area. So understanding that and knowing that, I also want to be on the lookout for shorts just because of the tremendous upside to the downside that this allows. Riding this back down to the 250-ish area. And for the moment you guys have been waiting for, the trade setup that I see as having the potential to possibly double your account if all goes well, and that is natural gas. I posted this last week in the trade setups and a weekly Forex forecast video last week. Things haven't changed. Now bear in mind, guys, a trade like this is going to take time. You have to have patience. If you don't have patience, you shouldn't even be watching this. You shouldn't even be trading. You certainly shouldn't be risking any of your money in the market. Okay, that's why people lose, is because of the inability to be patient. So you've got to be patient. You got to have an investor's mindset to a degree on this, just because of the long-term hold nature that you'll want to have on this. Okay, that doesn't mean it has to take a long time, but that it can, and so you want to go into it with that expectation and not get too antsy and too jittery about your trade once you get into it. Okay, so what we're looking at here is a weekly chart after these astonishing highs up here at almost reaching $5. Price has just collapsed. Okay, and you tend to see this kind of move when you get these parabolic moves like this, these super aggressive impulses to the upside. It's very emotional in nature, and so as the market blows off steam, you tend to see almost as strong as it goes up, it falls. Okay, and so you get these big spikes, the big run up, the big run back down, and we're back down at an area historically that has provided major support. This is an area of tremendous demand in the market for natural gas. All right, so just simply from the perspective of an area of value, this is a great area of value to consider getting in on natural gas. The other nice thing that I like about this trade is if you position yourself correctly, and if you know how to properly manage your risk, if you know proper money management principles, you can actually position your trade on this so that your stop loss is effectively zero. Okay, what do I mean by that? Well, natural gas is not going to go to zero. It can't go to zero, right? So you position your trade to allow for this to fall. You give yourself room so that you don't have to technically have a stop loss in the traditional sense. You with me? All right, your stop loss is, if this goes to zero, your account will still be okay. That's what I'm getting at. So you could do this one of two ways. You could take a small position that's more aggressive with a traditional hard stop, so that if and when this goes higher, that trade can have a little bit more teeth behind it and a lot more profit potential to it. And or take another position that your position size is such to account for this to pull back even deeper, okay? And assuming if it did go all the way to zero, still isn't going to take out your account, okay? So that long-term idea of holding on to this, being into it for the longer term, is going to pay out very nicely. And as you can see up here, we've got this arrow, this brighter arrow up here at a traditional area of resistance, about 370. You guys, if the only thing that this market did was go up from this level here and just come back up and tag this 370 mark, you're looking at a 45% increase on one single trade. All right. Now, if it comes back up to these highs up here, you're looking at a 91-92% increase. Okay, now that's where I said you could possibly double your account on this trade. On that one trade, you could possibly have a 100% increase on that trade, which is tremendous, you guys. Now, that is a bit of a Hail Mary, but it isn't out of the realm of possibility. We just saw that a few months ago. All it would take is a decrease in the supply and or a spike in the demand on this, and we could easily see natural gas back up, possibly even testing $5. Okay, that's not out of the realm of possibility. So for where price is right now, I see this as a great area of value historically to consider getting in. And if you guys really want to get some historical context here, look back to 2004, 2005, 2008, and we saw natural gas up in the levels of $13 and $15. So could this trade double your account? It could do a lot more than double your account, possibly, depending on how long you're willing to hold, and depending on how aggressive and how fast things decide to run up. And as you can see, in the past, this has moved up something very fierce, very aggressive. Let's just see historically. When price was down here at $6.20, May of 2005, it reached a high of $15 in December of 2005. Wow. You guys, that's just a few short months. $6 up to $15. Okay. Here we were at $5 in August of 2007. $13.60 by June of 2008. So again, just another few short months of time, and we've seen some aggressive, very strong movements here. So we're now sitting again down here, the 260, 250 range. So lots of upside, guys. That doesn't go without saying, none of what I say is a recommendation to buy or sell. This is all strictly my opinion. I'll be clicking my button on my trading account. You guys will be clicking the buttons on your own trading account. Question of the day: what setup or setups from this weekly Forex forecast have you most interested? Post it in the comments below so that we can all follow. That's going to do it for today's weekly Forex forecast and trade setups video. Thanks for joining me. I hope this was helpful. If you want to get in on the action on trade setups and trade ideas just like these, what are you waiting for? Join our Telegram channel, join the team, be a part of the group. It's completely free. I want you to experience more success in your trading and start to see how understanding the true nature of the market and being able to read price action will enhance and improve your results. That's going to do it for now, and until next time, best of luck in your trading.